up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
We might get Terrence as a hot tag to join this podcast, but for right now, it's just the dynamic duo potting today. Micah, Hades update from you. I am now 9 clears deep, about to access the ending.
I am about to do my 7th clear.
Oh, look at that! You went from nothing to dominant.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because it's like once you get through that first, I finally got my first clear on my 38th run,
mm-hmm.
and once you get through that, I don't know what it is. It just kind of clicked, and now I opened up more of the mirror. And the way I like to play, I'm a boon guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like a bunch of different types of boons. So I got the thing that gives you like additional damage per boon that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a weird style that I use when I want to make an actual when I want to make a run instead of just like farming. But it requires like a lot of Athena and a lot of deflection, and because I usually just kind of run around, I dash around and just hit stuff and then dash, and I stick and move, right? Like because I can't stay in one place at one time, which is probably why I suck with all the ranged weapons. The bow is not doing it for me, the gun is not doing it for me. The thing that I didn't think I would like, the fists,
mm-hmm.
that was the thing that I got my first clear on.
I'm not surprised that you like the fist because you've always been like a monk DPS style in RPGs anyway, so I figured that'd be right up your alley.
And once I actually tried it, because I never really gave it a shot. And then I actually started using it, and I'm like, all right, I like this. And with the whole sticking and moving,
mm-hmm.
right? Like if I have deflection on dash, and then coming out of dash, I'm sturdy and fast. And then certain moves, and then I have a lot of Zeus, like chain lightning and stuff like that, because I just want to melt stuff. And if I'm really lucky, I'll get an Artemis Hades duo where the blade rift will track your enemies, so I can just throw it out there and not have to think about it, and then move on to somebody else while the blade rifts are doing their thing. Yeah, man. Once you get it,
mm-hmm.
it you feel like the one, right?
Well, I'm at the point now where I've unlocked 3 of the hidden aspects
mm-hmm.
that are on the weapons. So like, you know how they have the different aspects that you can unlock with Titan Blood, and then they have the hidden ones at the bottom. So I've unlocked 3 of the hidden ones.
Mm-hmm.
The spear is always the first one you get, and that one's the one I would imagine you probably have that at this point.
No, I don't have any of them yet.
I'll make sure you talk to Achilles more frequently then.
All right.
So, but the spear sucks until you actually upgrade that and level it up. The spear one is not good at its default thing. The shield one is incredible. So like the shield one is the shield of Beowulf, and what it lets you do is it lets you load your cast into the shield, and then it does like plus 60% damage when you do like a bull rush.
Oh,
and the best,
like the thing with the bow, right? Like
right, but you can. But the cool thing with this one is that it doesn't just stick them in the enemy. Like as soon as you blow it up, it pops all your thing. Like if you're using if you're running the 3 cast build, it pops all of them out, so you can just retrieve them and then load it up again and kind of go from there.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, the best part is you can still upgrade your cast, and the cast retains the properties that you upgrade it with, so that when it pops out, like if you have like a blade rift on it, like it'll pop out and the blade rift will just appear. So you get the best of both worlds. It's pretty cool. I was fucking up a lot of dudes that I did unlock the let's like, so I got the spear, I got the shield, and then the one that I just unlocked was the, God, what was the other one? that I just unlocked. I can't remember now. I'm drawing a complete blank as to what the 6th weapon is in the game right now. But that's been fun too, and like I said, I'm excited to finish up the story. Interested to see where it goes. I've also started playing with as I'm sure you have as well, the different Pact of Power or Pact of Punishment upgrades. The time one is actually not that bad because most runs you're going to finish in under 36 minutes anyway, most of the time. So that one's I found the easiest, and the one that gives them like an extra hit of armor, it gives every extra enemy a free hit, is not too bad either. So
yeah,
still playing Hades.
I think my fastest run was like 26 minutes.
Well, that's faster than my fastest run, but not as fast as Jack's fastest run. Jack has a 17-minute run on his like he's also cleared the game like at least 50 times at this point. Jack
clears.
Jack's been playing an insane amount of Hades. He's been playing like quadruple what Mike and I have been playing, and we're no slouches in terms of the game as well. And it's funny because like Hades is making me want to go back and check out other roguelike games. Like I'm really curious to play Dead Cells now. I'd like to check out Risk of Rain 2 at some point. Just waiting for them to go on sale. Not that I know when I'm gonna find time to play them, but that make me not want to. So, but yeah, so that's like I said, still playing Hades, and that's probably not stopping anytime soon. Notable new releases, nothing coming out this week that's going to pull me away from Hades, I can tell you that. Torchlight 3 comes to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Torchlight, of course, the very Diablo-esque isometric action role-playing game, which has great acclaim. Oni-chan Origin comes out on PS4 and PC. Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition comes to PC, and then Mario Kart Live Home Circuit comes to Nintendo Switch and a toy shelf near you, so you can have an RC.
Oh yeah, that's right, that thing. Yeah, I forgot about that thing. I mean, I guess that might be something if you're a kid who's got like a lot of floor space.
Yeah.
I can't make of a transition from floor space to the internet.
So it would have been easier to transition to the Amazon read from that.
Yeah. Go to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe. You can subscribe to all of the TMP Studios podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, including the Nerd Apocalypse, Black on Black Cinema. We just did a new episode that will be out, I guess, this week. A movie called Vampires versus the Bronx.
Is it a spiritual sequel to Vampire in Brooklyn?
It is more of a spiritual sequel to Monster Squad.
There you go.
So, coming distractions in the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political podcast. If that's not enough, and it shouldn't be, because we're really good at what we do, you can go to densepixels.com/premium. For $5 a month or $50 a year, you get access to all of the premium shows, including the airing of grievances. We just had a new episode, as promised. You're welcome, and we're gonna have another one. We're gonna have another one very soon. We're taping it 2 days from when Brad and I are sitting here. Terrence is going to guest on it because there's a question that has to be answered, and neither Jay nor myself will be able to answer it honestly. So look forward to that.
You guys are taking guest stars for airing your grievances now?
Only because there's a question that is asked, and well, I'll tell you guys. It's who would it's just between us. It's who would win in a fight between myself and Jay, because that's the question that's asked in that Seinfeld episode. Who would win in a fight between George and Jerry? And neither one of us can answer that honestly, right? So we're bringing in a third party. And the only reason that third party is on this podcast network is because of me. So hopefully that third party will give the correct answer. The new episode of No Time to Bleed is out. where Brad used his magical powers to deduce that it is law-abiding citizen, which is a very fun episode. The Men with the Golden Tongues, Upstage Conversations, and the full episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. Normally, this is where I would say, now look, and then describe something that I've heard on the podcast. However,
Has been recorded.
The podcast is not up yet. So you all and myself will find out together. So go to dunspixel.com/premium.
So it's funny because there's a lot of linked stories this week, a lot of stories that are similar to one another, back to back in the docket. We gave the U.S. military a lot of shit for censoring certain things on their official Twitch channels and for recruiting on Twitch to children, which is kind of scummy and not really something you want to have happen. So it would only be fair for me to call out the Joe Biden campaign for banning the mention of the words frack and war crimes during a recent stream that happened on Twitch of the vice presidential debate this past week. They used an auto moderator to ban these words and to ban users that were using them. They only get a slightly greater pass here because Joe Biden currently is a private citizen that is campaigning for president. He's not actually in the U.S. government, so slightly a little bit of a pass. I'm just not a big fan of any government entity policing speech on what is a public forum, essentially.
Yeah.
In many ways. A couple of users got upset about this. I understand why you would want to police that, but look, if you want to police people that are being abusive in chat with a live moderator, that's fine. I think just doing catch-all bans for specific words or terms is not necessarily the way you want to go, especially because, again, depending on your opinions of the Obama presidency, there are valid, criticisms that can be made of, especially of foreign policy and how combat and non-combat situations were handled over there. So, listen, doing blanket bans, I don't think is the way to go in that situation.
Yeah, like I know why people do it because it's easy, right? But at the same time, like, no one should do anything in broad strokes. There are very few things in this world that should be done in sweeping generalizations. You know what I mean?
I do. Speaking of sweeping generalizations, so Mike, I don't know if you're aware of Genshin Impact, a game that has taken some corners of the gaming.
Is that the fake Zelda game?
The fake Zelda game that's a gacha game that has a ton of like slot machine mechanics to get characters and items and stuff like that in it. Apparently, the game is very good. It's a free-to-play game, but of course, if you want the best characters, you're going to have to feed it some money and cross your fingers and hope for luck. But I've seen a lot of, especially like Destiny streamers, playing this game, and they're all about it. The same Destiny streamers who criticize the Eververse store for and its offerings are more than happy, apparently, to pull slot machine levers to get all of their favorite characters, despite telling their audience that they should definitely not be doing what they're doing. Essentially, like literally, MTash I think spent over $1,000 in this fucking game, which is insane to me. So I guess he's balling pretty well.
Wow,
from his stream. But we're not talking about Genshin Impact for its impact on the gaming universe. No, we are talking about Genshin Impact because they are censoring words in the in-game chat between players. So this is a game that you can play multiplayer with other folks. There's an in-game text chat that you can use to communicate with one another. And because the game is developed by a Chinese game developer, any mention of the words Taiwan, Hong Kong, Falun Gong, and other things that are sensitive to the Chinese government are restricted and banned from being able to be displayed in the game. Nyko Partners, who is the publishing partner for this game, one of their analysts, or actually they're not a publishing partner, they're just an analyst company. Daniel Ahmad explained that any Chinese games are going to have to comply with the Chinese mandated government list of censored words that are not allowed to appear in any art in any way, shape, or form. Every game developer has to do this. This is not a new thing, but
Yeah.
typically what you find is they'll have a regular version of the game that releases in everywhere but China, and then a Chinese version that is washed of any terms or themes or anything like that that would be not cool by the Chinese government. Again, it's just continues to be sad that, again, you can't ignore politics if you're in video games. You just can't. They're going to appear, but this is notable because this is the first major game from a mainland China developer to really hit it big on a more mainstream scale.
This is wild, man. This is wild. Like I can't imagine, right? But slowly but surely, I feel like I won't have to imagine. But well, not if you all do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, this is wild, man. I can't imagine living in a place like this. And while it doesn't, while it doesn't directly affect me, it just feels weird to have all this, politics in my games. What?
Well, I mean, censorship goes against your sensibilities as an American, so I get it.
Yeah. Totally get it. I can't yeah, it's just hard for me to even fathom, like real censorship, right? Like this is real censorship. Like not, I can say bomb in a theater, or I can call you the N-word because freedom of speech, bro. Like, no, that's not, telling somebody not to use the N-word is not censorship, right? Like, I don't know why I have to keep explaining this to people, but apparently I do.
I've kind of wanted to try playing Genshin Impact because it looks cool. It is very much a Breath of the Wild clone, though.
I've seen a couple of different videos, and I'm like, what is this? Like, has the Tales series just gone full on lazy and just copied?
I don't know that it's as overt a Breath of the Wild clone as like Gods and Monsters or whatever the game that used to be referred to as Gods and Monsters is going to be, but it's pretty fucking close. By the way, I don't remember the name of that game. It is going to be the game formerly known as Gods and Monsters to me.
Is that the Icarus game?
Yeah, like Phoenix Rising or something like that. But it's like Terra Rising, like Triple H's old WCW, like the way that's spelled. So yeah, it's that game. That game is a unabashed Breath of the Wild ripoff. They're like, hey, like we heard you guys like this game, and Breath of the Wild 2, we don't know when it's coming out, so enjoy this in the meantime with Greek mythology.
Ubisoft is stank, Like they're real, like they're just real shady, They're real shady.
Like I said, the funniest thing to me about that game is that they couldn't keep the original title because Monster Energy drink apparently was threatening.
That's why they had to change it.
Just wild. It had nothing to fucking do with Monster Energy drink, and Monster's like I don't like this at all.
Yeah, look, to be fair to Monster, that game is not their brand. Like it doesn't look like it does. There's not a gun in that game. There's not camo. There's not dudes talking in headsets about killing other dudes in helmets. It is not their brand. So, wow.
Something we'll have much more news about in about 7 months. The trial of the century, at least in terms of the gaming world, begins on May 3rd, 2021. That is going to be the initial trial date in the trial that is going on between Epic Games and Apple in terms of the Fortnite kerfluffle that's going on. It's going to probably take several months, and there will be several appeals processed after the fact, so this is not going to be a story that goes away anytime soon, but we at least know when litigation is supposed to start. And the temporary injunction that Epic filed to try to get Fortnite back in the App Store until the trial failed. So it will continue to not be in the App Store until the trial is resolved. So more on that later. Rockstar has developed a new developer, Ruffian Games, developer of Crackdown 2. It's their most notable credit. Has been brought into the Rockstar fold under the studio name Rockstar Dundee, which sounds like a terrible Paul Hogan vehicle, if you're asking me.
Yeah, it's like Crocodile Dundee if you
Right.
joined our band.
That's right. They apparently did a lot of assistance with Microsoft on the Master Chief Collection on PC. This is going to be the 10th studio that Rockstar has acquired into their fold. No word as of yet as to what the studio will be working on, whether it's working on GTA 6, whether it's working on a new IP. I'm sure more to come on that in many months and years down the road.
The Crackdown 2, Connect, Play Fit, Fragmental, Crackdown 3, and Rad TV are the games to their credit.
And they probably weren't even the primary developer on Crackdown 3, were they?
No. Who was the developer? Sumo Digital.
There you go.
Was the developer of Crackdown 3. So, yeah. I mean, hey, good for people getting work. There are other outfits that are way worse to be under. So, and you got that Take-Two. You're under that Take-Two umbrella. So, expect a bunch of microtransactions that people will just kind of look over.
Why is Rockstar publishing through Take-Two Interactive? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I don't know.
You think they would just publish their own shit? I guess that's an arm they don't feel like worrying about. They don't feel like worrying about like marketing and stuff like that. So
yeah, they're too busy creating games once every half a decade.
If that.
Right, if that, right.
GTA 5 came out 7 years ago at this point, more than 7 years.
Jesus.
So, still kicking though, still kicking.
Yeah, man, 2013. Wow.
Yeah, man. In what has to be considered surprising news, EA has said that there's no plans for additional DLC or extra modes to come to Star Wars Squadrons. They're saying that they're trying to treat it with an old school approach. So if you paid X amount of dollars, that the game is fully self-contained. We're not planning to add more content. This is the game, and we hope you understand the value proposition. Now, of course, because this is just how things fucking work. The same types of folks that usually rail on companies like EA for extending out and having tons of paid digital content and all this extra content down the road are now lamenting the fact that they wish they could get more stuff in Star Wars Squadrons, and they're disappointed to learn that there's nothing coming down the pipe.
Man, you just can't win, man.
Apparently not.
Yeah, this is the worst company in America. Why don't you give me more options to spend money through microtransactions? But I don't want microtransactions in video games anymore.
Well, again, the irony is that they finally put out a game that most people say is good at launch, and now, of course, there's not anything extra coming for it. They continue to support the bullshit that they put out all the time.
I'm curious as to why this is happening. Like, do they think that did they think that the game wasn't going to be a giant success? So they were like, hey, let's just put this out there, and this will be a good litmus test to see if people still buy, games.
Honestly, I think they weren't sure. I don't think they were sure based on, especially based on how rocky of a launch that Battlefront 2 had, for example, and the fact that Jedi Fallen Order, I don't want to say it was a surprise, but I think how well it did was surprising in the grand scheme of things. And of course, they probably had to make forecasts for this game because this game had to have been well in development by the time Fallen Order came out, and they got to see the critical reception that game received. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess they didn't have a ton of confidence in the game, and it just turned out good. So.
This game's only $40.
Is it only $40? No,
that's what this article says. So we've treated it. So we tried to treat it in a kind of old school approach, saying you've paid the $40. This is the game, and it's entirely self-contained. If this game is only $40, yeah, they didn't have faith in it. And
I'm going to the PlayStation Store right now to see if I can
And
find.
if they didn't have faith in it, like the last big thing that they didn't have faith in, that ended up taking the gaming world by
Holy
storm.
shit! It's only $40.
which is probably why Terrence bought it, by the way.
Wow, I'm shocked actually that it's $40. I thought it was 60. Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Feels like a hell of a deal then.
Yeah.
As,
If you have VR.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'll be interested to see if they circle back around on this if the game sells like crazy. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, because you gotta imagine once like the holidays hit, it's gonna be like 30.
Right. EA should always go on sale.
Right.
Always. So, with you on that one. Sony's finally revealed backwards compatibility plans on PlayStation 5. So they've confirmed that more than 99% of the 4,000 plus games that are available on PlayStation 4 will be playable on PlayStation 5. And according to the PlayStation support website, there are only 10 games that are designated as being incompatible from the PS4 playlist that would not work on PS5. So here are the 10 games that you cannot play on PS5. Afro Samurai 2, Revenge of Kuma Volume 1.
Oh, man.
DWVR, which I'm assuming is a VR game of some kind. Hitman Go Definitive Edition, not Hitman Definitive Edition, Hitman Go Definitive Edition. Joe's Diner, Just Deal With It. Robinson the Journey. Shadow Complex Remastered. Shawdwen, TT Isle of Man, and We Sing. So those are the 10 games that you cannot play on the PS5. No specific reason was given for any of those 10.
I did not know that 9 of them were PlayStation 4 games.
Yes.
This is
4 games.
Yeah, I did not know that. I didn't know. Like it's I didn't know some of these games existed, right? Like Afro Samurai 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know that game existed. I wonder why these specific 10 won't work, right? Like
I'm sure there's licensing reasons. I'm sure there might be code compatibility reasons that are unique to those games in some way, shape, or form. Fortunately, it's nothing major, I would say. Like, bummer if you are a fan of any of those 10 games. They've also talked about there's a feature that the PlayStation 5 has called Game Boost, which will deliver improved or more stable frame rates in select games. Some examples that they gave were Ghost of Tsushima, for example. Game Boost will provide faster loading speeds and an extra option to allow up to 60 FPS gameplay, which I'd have to imagine for that game is going to be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Now, they did say that some PS4 games might exhibit errors or unexpected behavior when playing on PS5 consoles, and advises that you, quote, try to boot and play your PS4 games on your PS5 console to see if you're happy with the play experience before buying DLC for those games. PS4 games will also be directly playable from an external USB drive, so that's pretty helpful. If you don't want to waste your hard drive space with your PS4 titles, you can get an external drive of some kind and play them directly from there.
So I can still get the Game Boost and all that from the external drive.
As far as I know,
and the quicker loading times, like I thought.
Yeah, because I would imagine that they're loading from the drive onto like the solid state memory that's on the system, but like in the RAM, like the temporary memory, so that it's not actually using storage space.
Oh, that's wonderful. I have literally every PlayStation 4 game that I own is on not every one of them. I don't have, all of my games I have all the games that I play on a separate drive. Not every one that I own. So that'll be nice because Spider-Man is going to take up like 100 gigs.
It sure will.
The two Spider-Man games are going to take up 100 gigs. So
naturally, you'll be able to transfer games from your PS4 or your PS5 via LAN or Wi-Fi. Also, of course, your cloud saves on PlayStation Plus will be able to sync to the PlayStation 5 as well. But they did say that the ability to transfer game saves between a PS4 and PS5 version of a game is a developer decision. So any games that are offering free upgrades, it's up to the developer to allow that to happen. In most cases, that is happening. And FIFA, unfortunately, only your Ultimate Team progress is carrying over. Unfortunately, you can't actually carry any hard data from the PS4 to the PS5. That's the most notable one so far. There's a few other things in this article. I'm not going to get too far into the woods with it, but it has some more PS5 features. This is on Polygon. The item is titled PS5 backward compatibility, PS4 gameless USB external storage drive support. So like I said, a few things to go through on there, but I thought the backwards compatibility part was the biggest thing. The other thing Sony's doing this week is there's an update coming sometime this month where the web-based PlayStation Store and the one on your mobile phone is no longer going to have PS3 games, Vita games, avatars, and themes available for purchase. They're also getting rid of the wish list feature. This is in response to clean up the bloated PlayStation Store in advance of the PlayStation 5 release, which is a change that I fully support because I'm really tired of searching for stuff in the PlayStation Store on the web and getting a full list of PS3 stuff that I could not possibly care less about. You'll still be able to access those games natively on the PS3 system or Vita system through the PlayStation Store on those consoles. Avatars and themes being removed is a bit of a surprise, but I don't think it's a feature that everybody necessarily uses, so I'm not shocked about it.
Yeah, I don't care about avatar. I care more about themes than avatars, and I don't really care about themes. So,
well, avatars became something to not care about as soon as they let you sync your Facebook profile picture.
Yeah,
on your PS5 account.
Yeah.
Themes I'm gonna miss, but we haven't even seen the UI for PlayStation 5 yet, so no way to see if themes would even be something that would be
right.
a concern on the console, to be honest with you.
Right. Like themes are cool, but like there are some that are really cool, but you got to pay for them, and I'm not going to pay for a theme. Like it just I'll do what I have now. I'll take a screenshot and I'll make it my background and I'm all good.
Finally, this week in the quick news, Microsoft has a plan to get around not being able to have xCloud in the iOS App Store. They're working on a browser-based workaround to be able to get xCloud working on iPhones and iPads. According to Phil Spencer, he says, quote, "We will absolutely end up on iOS. We'll end up on iPhones and iPads with Game Pass." So basically, they're just trying to do an end around the App Store by making some kind of browser and web-based client. Be interesting to see how this works, especially with streaming. Adding that extra layer of gateway will remain to be seen how that will affect the performance of the game. But pretty smart if you're trying to, like I said, get around some fairly draconian App Store management principles from Apple in this case.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to get excited for this Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I got all my stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at launch titles and I'm like, ooh, like there's nothing.
What launch titles?
Yeah, like there's nothing here. So
and to be fair, PlayStation has the same
it don't have look,
issue except for Miles Morales. Like that's
right, except for Spider-Man. And look, that back in the day, I would buy a console for one game. I remember I bought the Dreamcast because I wanted to play Soul Calibur. That was it. That was the reason. And then all the other stuff came. All I needed was one. And I forgot that there isn't like the one game because the one game was going to be Halo, and that got pushed back. So I am looking forward to it. I'll just be playing Game Pass games, but I don't know. We'll see. I want to get it in my hands and see what I can do with it. So, Amazon time, guys. Go to worldwideweb.densepixels.commercial/Amazon. When you go to worldwideweb.densepixels.commercial/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases, you will uh, uh, not only do you not pay extra, I got to figure out how to word that better. Not only do you not pay anything extra, you help out the show. Go to worldwideweb.densepixels.commercial/Amazon.
And look, Jeff Bezos is about to make like $200 billion in 3 days because Prime Day is going on right now. So
Yeah.
do what you can to give some of that money to us.
Yeah.
As
Help
Prime Day purchases.
Help poor Jeff Bezos out. The guy is selling books in his garage.
Basically like out of the back of his car, essentially.
Right. He's trying to make it, guys. And anything that we can do to help a fellow citizen in need, we should do. So go to worldwideweb.densepixels.commercial/Amazon.
Yeah. Especially if you're buying like a TV or something. More on that in post office. Two stories, I should say, that are very related to one another. We'll spend a little time in the first one, and then we'll use the second one to bring it around to an overarching point about both these things. I wish to paraphrase Kurt Hennig from the Royal Rumble 1992 promo after Ric Flair won, coming from the number 3 position. I'm not the type of guy to tell you that I told you so, but I told you so. Just 1 month after launch, Marvel Avengers, at least on PC, is a ghost town. In the past week or so, the number of concurrent players that are playing on PC averages around the 1,000 mark, according to Steam charts and SteamDB, which is giving people some trouble finding multiplayer matches when they're going online to play with other folks, and making them play with bots who, from what I understand, not as good as playing with an actual human player. We don't have detailed information about the console versions of the game, but we're hearing similar reports from console players saying that they're having difficulty finding a game. According to Scott Amos, the studio head at Crystal Dynamics, quote, "We're confident that we will see PC players as well as those on Xbox One and PS4 return to the game as we add exciting new late game content and demonstrate that we continue to be focused on improving the game." It's probably a little too harsh to call this an Anthem situation, but I feel like when you release the game with a relative dearth of content, as Marvel Avengers has, what were you expecting to happen?
Yeah, it's nothing to do, you know. like there really isn't. Like I played enough of that game to get like all but one trophy. I was trying, man. I was trying to really love that game, and I just don't. And I have, like I said, I've got I have every trophy except for one. I'm not going to go back to it because I don't feel like getting it because it's more grinding. Like a lot of those trophies are grinding, right? Like you got to play these hive missions, and these hive missions can be like 20 minutes, and you got to do 50 of them to get one of these trophies. And I did it, and it is so just monotonous.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it's like running strikes in Destiny. It's fun the first 10 or 20 until you've seen all the strikes a couple times, all the story beats, you've fought all the bosses, and then you're just going through the motions.
Right.
Because you know what to expect.
Right. You're going through the motions. There's a lot, and that's the thing, like they pretend to have a lot of them, like a lot of different strikes, but they're all in the same. You start out in an outside area, but you inevitably go into a AIM facility, and the buildings all look the same. Like the interiors all look the same.
I've seen gameplay of it, and it does look the same. And it looks like
Yeah,
the
man.
guys you're fighting are kind of the same.
There are one, two, three. There may be five or six different type of robots
Mm-hmm.
that you fight, and you know it just doesn't. Like the rooms aren't even random. Like I would say if they all look the same but they were randomized,
Mm-hmm.
that would be one thing, right? No, they're not. Like it's the same room, the same pattern every single time, and it gets old, and I'm not. At this rate, they would have to release a new character every 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
to get and retain people, and I I don't even know if they're gonna commit to the monthly schedule.
I don't see how they can. I mean, it's been a month now, and nothing, and
Right.
they haven't released the new character yet. Because I guess they assumed that they'd have enough to make it through until that period. And the problem is that when you do put out the new characters, if you don't bring significant content with them, what you'll see is the same thing that you see in a lot of other games like this, where you see that big spike up for for a week tops, and then as players consume that content and finish with it, they're like, all right, on to the next. Like they just put it back down again. And so you see these like, stagnant for 6 weeks, then spike, and then stagnant, and just kind of like the one thing I'll give Destiny is that Destiny, while they're nowhere near what they were when Destiny 2 first launched, like Destiny 2 first launched, they had like 6 million people playing at a time. It's nowhere close to that. But they have a very dedicated fan base that is several, hundreds of thousands of people that are playing that game consistently. And you still see the spikes up when new expansions come out and when new seasons start and stuff like that. But their plateau doesn't waver too much. Like it stays pretty steady throughout the game. Now, Destiny 2 has the advantage of being a game that has been around for 4 years, that's built on a game that was around for 3 years previous to
Right.
that. So they developed that community. And I will, and this transitions nicely into the next story. So Crucible, the big game that was the first big release from all these new Amazon studios, is done. This free to play multiplayer action game, which released in May 2020, and had to go back into closed beta because the game was so poor, and should not have been released in the state that it was in. Is pulling the plug. They're done developing for it. The servers will stay online until November 9th, and then it's going to go away for good. Because they couldn't cultivate a fan base, because they put it out. It was not good, and I mean, credit to them for pulling the plug and not trying to throw bad money after good. And that's, or throw good money after bad, rather, is how that phrase goes. Jim Sterling put out a video on Monday about the Avengers game and the poor showing that it's had right now. And the video goes about how you would expect it to go. It's pretty boilerplate from what you'd expect from him for the first 13 minutes or so. But the last 4 are a scathing indictment on many game developers who basically, like we see it with Avengers, we see it with Crucible, we've seen it with a ton of other games that do this stuff. You're putting out these games and you're just expecting people to come to them because you just expect it, because you're a big time game developer and you should be able to get it. And as he called out Avengers, like he called them out for like their whole big thing was like, oh, there's no loot boxes in this game. And his thing was like, that's the bare minimum. Like you're staking your flag into the ground on what is the bare minimum expectation.
Right.
But you're not giving people a reason to be excited about what your game actually is. And then meanwhile, he says, turn around on the other hand and go to like a Fall Guys, for example, a developer that has a fraction of your resources, that has a fraction of your planning and your budget. And they have to apologize because their servers aren't robust enough to keep all the people that are continuing to play this game week after week and month after month, because the focus was making a good game first and not making a product designed to get people to continually spend money over time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that video now. It was like, yeah, the marketplace sure does work. But the rest of the game has a bunch of bugs and shit in it. And yeah, he's 100% right. Like, think what you want about that guy. He knows what he's talking about. And Avengers that's the thing that sucks, is that there is a germ of a good game in there. And
what's funny is that, like, we could take this exact conversation and replace Avengers with Anthem, and it's the exact conversation that we were having 18 months ago.
Yep.
So I don't know when or if the come to Jesus moment happens with some of these publishers and some of these studios to say, we need to actually think about what kind of game we're making and not the business model that we're trying to develop. Because that, at the end of the day, that seems like that's what a lot of that is driven by, is how can we get people to stay with this game and come back to it over and over again, and most importantly, give us money for these costumes that we're going to be putting out, and these cosmetics that we're going to be putting out. And again, just because I'm not happy that the game is not successful, but at the same time, my faith in the gaming community has proven strong, in that just because the Marvel label is on this game has not guaranteed it success. Like, it sold well, I'm sure. We haven't seen any sales numbers on it. I'm sure it sold well. But the fact that people didn't just give it a pass because it's a Marvel game, it warms the cockles of my cynical heart.
Yeah, I mean, look, people don't do that for video games; they do it for movies, right?
Just because a movie is a $15 and 2 hour investment, not a
right.
$60,
this was a $60 base price investment, and if you want to get the most out of this Avengers game, you got to really put time into it, and it's very monotonous. Don't get me wrong, I like the way the game plays. I really do. Just like Anthem. I love the way Anthem played. But yeah, the focus wasn't on, and the single player, the story was okay. But everything after that is just like, who cares?
Well,
like,
isn't that the tragic irony of it all? Is that if they had just put out this game as a story game, added more story content, and given an online co-op option,
it'll work.
You probably have a product that people are pretty praiseworthy of.
It'll work. I can each person has their own unique abilities. Like, Black Widow can go into stealth, right? She can turn invisible. I mean, why isn't there a stealth mode, a stealth section in her part of the story, right? Like, you could have fleshed out
that to me is completely inexcusable. The fact that, like, if you're gonna make a big deal about your fucking story and take the time to make these characters play differently from one another, then make content that leverages those differences.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like story content is the easiest way to do it, but I would think that there are ways good game designers can figure out even a way to take the monotonous content to leverage some of those abilities. Like, have different solutions to the same problem based on the different skill trees and stuff like that are in the game.
Right. Like, they have these missions that are individual character story missions, right? So it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe this character must be on this team in order for this thing to happen, right? No, you can literally pick the Black Widow's story mission and then play Captain America as Captain America while doing it. Like, there's no point in, you have to play it with Black Widow once to get the story, but you obviously can replay those missions, and you can just pick anybody because there's nothing unique about that story mission other than the fact that Black Widow has more lines in it that does anything. Like, there's a whole mission with Thor and an imposter Thor who is Loki, right? Thor don't have to be in it. like it's just weird. It's just weird game design. It's weird and it's uninspired, and like Marvel Ultimate Alliance is a better game, dude. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't
Sucks.
get. But again, just goes to show you, we've said it before, we'll keep saying it. Just because you throw money at something doesn't mean that it's going to be a success.
Right.
And again, success has different terms as well. Just because it was initial successful out of the gate doesn't mean that Marvel Avengers is going to go down as a success ultimately.
Right.
But we'll see. Like I said, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could turn things around if they can get a steady stream of not just new characters but new content in the game.
Yeah,
we'll want to come back and play.
I don't need they're gonna have like doubles, like Echo Fighters or whatever, right? Like, they're gonna have two, like they're gonna have Kate Bishop, who was an archer, and Hawkeye, and I those two will play similarly, but slightly different, just kind of like how Thor and Iron Man play similarly but different. And that's not I don't know how you do it. I don't know how this game lives, because like you said, they're gonna have the new character out if you're lucky, and if that character plays well, like if that character is so unique that you just want to play it, you'll be lucky if you max that character out, and then that's it. Because you can farm for exotics and legendaries and stuff, but I'm at the cap, and I don't have a bunch of and once you're at the cap, you're farming for perks. And then the perks don't really, like, the perks are so minuscule. They're like, 3% extra damage if you hit these qualifiers, 4%, this if you hit these qualifiers. Like, it doesn't make you feel powerful. It doesn't feel like it's worth the chase. And you can't even see it. So you can't even like model it. So they really messed this up, man. This had the potential to be really big. And they just kind of punted.
So we move on to the post office. Micah, take it away.
Johnny says, okay, now that we have some context from last week, thoughts on the Boogie story. So last week, Johnny had a photoshopped image of this black dude, and this white, low tier god, and this white guy Boogie pointing a gun at him from behind, right? And this dude Boogie, he's a streamer apparently, and he's the type of person that I guess you either like or you hate. And apparently one guy really hated him to the point where he showed up to his house, and Boogie was like, yo, if you don't get out of here, I'm gonna shoot your ass. And the guy, he kept taunting the guy, calling him a bunch of homophobic names and stuff like that. And Boogie apparently came out and fired a warning shot, and just was like, how about you get off my plane? You know what I mean? Like, so it's wild, man. Look, I can't imagine. That's the world that we live in now, right? Like, the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back version of like, I'm gonna find out where you live and I'm gonna come to your house and beat your ass.
And just the fact that he lives in Arkansas is the least surprising part of this entire story. I gotta
Jesus
say.
Christ. Now I had nothing better to do in Arkansas.
I mean, look, Boogie's also kind of proven himself to be a bit of a trash guy.
Oh, see, I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy at all.
Well, like I said, he had his shtick, which was a love or hate, like very, very polarizing. But it was conscious. Like it's one thing. Like I don't have a problem with people that do that kind of shtick if they're very aware that they're playing a character. But once he started to kind of on the times he wasn't doing that character, he started to let his political opinions creep in a little bit. And, not as good. Not as good. So,
Jesus. All right. All right. Fuck you, Boogie. I don't know anything about you, but fuck you, dude. John says New Day's been my favorite act in wrestling since 2015. It kind of stings having them apart, but I'm happy they didn't do the predictable heel turn. Plus, as nonsensical as their booking can be, I'd hope this indicates that they actually have major plans for Big E. And if that's the case, I am more than okay with it. I want to see that man as world champ. Look, people have been wanting. I don't think some people have wanted to see them break up. The three of them have been like, we're not breaking up, like we're not breaking up. And this is the best way to do it.
It's splitting them on the shows. That way they're not.
Yeah.
You don't have that forced, like we're not together anymore. We have to interact with each other kind of thing. I agree. Moving Woods and Kofi to Raw and keeping Big E on SmackDown is the way you do it, because then it's not like they're still the New Day. I would not be surprised if Big E still is wearing like New Day-esque ring gear.
Yeah.
And coming out to the same. I wouldn't be shocked if he came with the same music, quite frankly.
Now, do you think he will eventually? Do you think they will eventually tweak that character to get him away from the New Day theme?
I don't know that they have to, because you've been seeing that in this little singles, this mild singles run that he started since Kofi Kingston got hurt on SmackDown. You've been seeing the more serious nature of his character start to come out, but they're not doing a hard divorce of him from that New Day aesthetic. They're just giving him points where he can be more serious. I don't know who said this. I think it was a wrestling pundit of some kind. There's someone out there that's like in the know or in the biz that seems to think that Big E versus Roman Reigns is like the money feud that they should be building up for WrestleMania, which is interesting.
For WrestleMania.
Like have Big E win the Royal Rumble and do this 2-month build towards Roman Reigns, especially because Roman Reigns is, riding that mega heel persona right now.
I don't hate it. But I think I think that if you're going to do that, I think you need to start laying those seeds down now. Don't just wait until the Royal Rumble and then have it be like a big surprise. Like, nah, like start laying those seeds down right now. Like, let Roman hurry up and finish off Jimmy or Jay. I don't remember which one it is for good, and have Big E come out, because while the Usos and the New Day have been rivals, they have grown into friendly, respectable rivals. And you have Big E come out and, like, say Roman Reigns is just like going to town on Jimmy or Jay, whichever one it is. And he's just like, yo, like, nah, yo, like, out of mutual respect, like, this is your family. This is my buddy. Like, this is a tough son of a bitch. Like, no, we can't have this. And then Roman get all up in his face and is like, hey, this don't, this is a family thing. You get your ass out of here. And Big E's not going to back down, right? Because he ain't no bitch, right? So and then that's how you kind of lay the seed. You got to get that started soon, man. I don't want it to just be Big E out of nowhere wins the Royal Rumble, which I would love to see. I don't want it to be like Big E out of nowhere wins the Royal Rumble, and then all of a sudden we got to hurry up and fast track 2 months of those two guys like going at each other.
That being said, I will say that of the early field for Rumble winners, if we're putting in predictions now 3 months out, he would be I would think among the early guys, he would be in that mix.
Oh, I got no problem with him winning the thing. I have no problem with that. I just don't want it to feel like, last year, Drew kind of felt like it was his time. It kind of felt like Drew McIntyre was going to win the thing, and he did. It's kind of what I want for Big E. I want it to feel like this is his time. I don't want it to be Royal Rumble 2015 where with Roman Reigns like, hey guys, I did it, and then The Rock has to come out and everybody starts booing The Rock, and The Rock is like, huh? But I'm The Rock.
But the difference is that Big E has 5 years worth of people being like, he should be a singles wrestler at his back already. Like the fans already believe that he should have been pushed a long time ago. As a single star instead
I really don't want them to mess this up for him, man. Like, I don't want him to be like, I don't want him to be one of the well, I guess they don't really do that anymore. The 3 different types of black wrestler. But at the same time, like, I don't want him to, as much as I am amused by the Hurt Business, I don't want him to take on a heel persona, like, or a overly compensating badass persona, right? Like, because this dude, he can talk, he can have fun, but when it's time to get serious, like, even in it, like, it's weird, like, when it's time to get serious, like, he'll get real serious, but he's got like unicorns and shit on his ring gear.
Like I said, my top prognostication pick right now would be Keith Lee if we're booking it today, but we'll see what happens when we actually get to the Rumble, which is sooner than we all imagined it would be. Right this second.
Rashawn says, will you be customizing your PS5? Probably not.
No, I'm always afraid to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm always fearful.
I don't want to put stickers and shit on it.
Well, I mean, with this, you could even just take the side panels off and just like dip it in dye and paint it ostensibly. If you want.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. Anthony says, if you could be a professional gamer / win tournaments consistently, good at a game of your choosing, which would it be? I would be good at the majority of fighting games, and like, there's no reason why I can't now. I just do not put in the time. There's a lot. There's an incredible amount of time and effort and muscle memory to do that stuff. But it's so, like, it's competition at its purest form in this medium. That's why I love it. Like, I can watch that stuff all day, whereas people who watch Call of Duty and stuff like that, that's not for me. Because you're watching one screen, you're watching one person. Like, there's so many other elements that are going on. Fighting game there's a lot of elements going on, but it boils down to one person versus another, and there's a lot of who is better at execution, who is better at mind games, and who is just fucking lucky. And all of that mixed together makes fighting games so incredibly interesting. And the people that can do that stuff, I appreciate it.
This is hard for me because my natural inclination would be to say FIFA. But there's so many like professional gaming communities that at the top levels are just kind of shitty. And just like they don't seem like they're fun to be a part of. That's a tough one. Maybe Hearthstone. Like, if I could ever actually sit down and get good at Hearthstone, that would be bad, because that also kind of combines my analog gaming sensibilities as well. It wouldn't be FIFA, I don't think.
Well, everything regarding FIFA, from what John Oliver has told me, is just crooked and evil.
Well, I mean, FIFA the institution is, look.
Carl says, have you ever made a cash wager on a video game and what was the outcome? For example, years ago, I bet a guy $20 that he could pick any character in Smash and I could beat him with Sonic. Little did he know I was a semi-pro Smash player and I got clapped up 20 times in a row. Oh, he was a semi-pro Slash player.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, you were a pro Smash player? No, because I'm very tight with a dollar unless it's something that I really want. Like I have no problem throwing money away, but I kind of want to get something in return. Whereas I'm not just going to give money. I'm not a bettor. I'm not going to just give money. I'm not going to put money on the line in hopes that something happens.
Back when I did play Madden for real, I did play in a couple cash tournaments for Madden and did surprisingly poorly. Like I was really mad at myself because amongst my friends, I was like easily the best Madden player. But I guess when you get out in that real world, sometimes our reality is a bitch. It smacks you in the face.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, I can play basketball better than my friends, but whatever. I can run faster than Jay, but I can't run faster than a runner. You know what I mean? Even like a weekend warrior. You know what I mean? Gustavo says, I just started playing Slay the Spire. Is there any good tips you can give me? Brad, you didn't say what position Tottenham is going to finish at the end of the season. Don't forget about Carrie if she's on the show. Did you give Carrie
I did.
team?
She has Newcastle United assigned to her as her club. Tottenham will finish 6th this season. I am not been more sure of anything in my entire life, but importantly, ahead of Arsenal, which is all that matters. If you're not going to finish 4th, is that you finish ahead of your rivals. Tips on Slay the Spire. There's a few tips. So first of all, removing cards out of your deck is as important as acquiring new ones. Whenever you visit the merchant, your first purchase should always be to remove ideally one of your starting strikes or defends out of your deck, just so that you draw your good cards more frequently. It's kind of a key thing in deck builders, is making sure your best cards get in your hand as often as possible. Don't be too afraid of taking curses, because usually the flip side of taking curses is that you're getting a powerful relic. Don't duck fights against elites, because you get the best relics in the games from elites, and it's impossible to finish a run without having some decent relics helping you out along the way. And don't always take a card when you have the opportunity to. So at the end of every fight in Slay the Spire, you are presented with 3 different cards that you can add one of which to your deck. And especially later in the game, if the cards that are presented to you don't mesh well with the strategy that your deck has, don't take a card just for the sake of taking a card, because you don't want to bloat your deck up with cards that are not really useful to your ultimate strategy in that game. I did finally, speaking of Slay the Spire, I finally did a full clear for the first time after 70 hours the other day, where I beat the heart in Slay the Spire. The heart is like an extra boss at the end of the game that's not required to kill to win, but it's required to unlock some of the things in the game. And I finally, for the first time, beat that fucking heart, which made me feel awesome.
Randy says, can you recommend a good 120 hertz television I can buy for the new systems?
Well, so first and foremost, here the thing about refresh rate is that refresh rate is important, but with these new consoles, it's relative to what the console can put out. So even if you have a 120 hertz monitor, if the system can only do 60, it's only going to output at 60. Now with the Series X, if they're promising that they can get up to 120 FPS with some of these games, then yeah, 120 hertz monitor will help you. Honestly, if you're going to go to 120, go to 144. Like that way, you just have that extra little bit of bandwidth. I would say that anything, I don't know, don't spend more than $500 on a gaming monitor. Assuming you're buying like a desk size monitor. If you're buying a TV, that's a different scenario. LG makes some pretty good ones. Samsung's are decent. I'm trying to think of who else. ViewSonic makes some decent monitors as well if you're looking for a regular size monitor. I'm waiting to see if PS4 or PS5 rather is going to support ultra wide, because I might have to upgrade it if they support ultra wide. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. I really want like a nice curved 21:9 monitor, but if PS5 doesn't support it, then there's no fucking sense.
Yeah, there's no point. Yeah.
So.
Oh,
but Prime Day has a shitload, by the way, of monitors that are on sale. Just FYI.
I bought a TV because I watch TV in this office because I don't have a basement, so this is my sanctuary, and it's not like anything fancy. It's a Samsung TU 8000, and it will do what I need it to do, and because I've been playing video games without 4K HDR literally forever. So I don't even have these systems hooked up to the new television yet because I want to just save it. So, and it's under $500. So there you go. Trey says, favorite game genre that appears to no longer be around or slept on. For example, as a fan of the Metal Slug series, it is sad that there's basically not even a great value version of it out. I don't know.
I miss like really good licensed arcade sports games. And good ones. Like I understand that there are some arcade sports games that are licensed that come out, but they're usually not very good. I think that's why Super Mega Baseball was such a nice revelation to me, because it kind of reminded me of the like RBI baseball games, like a maturation of those games from back in the day to now. But I miss an NBA Jam, man. Like I said, we came close when they released that On Fire edition back in 2013 or so. Came close to perfection there. But like I said, I miss an NFL Blitz. I miss someone being able to put together like a decent MLB arcade style game. I don't know. I just want some money to be put behind one of these things, but it won't be because it's not going to sell nearly.
Yeah. So. Malcolm says, outside of the Contra Code, do you guys and lady have any cheat codes memorized? I remember all of the old cheats for the wrestling games like WCW Nitro and Thunder. It was a Thunder game?
Oh, yeah, it was worse. It was somehow worse. Had more characters in it, but yeah, not
good. Also, when Big E finally went solo, 3 ain't enough. Hashtag 3 ain't enough. Hashtag I need 5 of them. That was a good gimmick that Big E had in NXT.
He stole it.
Yeah, well,
which is fine. There's nothing original in pro wrestling.
Right, everybody steals everything. 007-373-5963. You remember that?
No.
That is the Mike Tyson code for Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
For me,
straight to Tyson.
For me, the most memorable code besides the Contra Code was the Justin Bailey code from Metroid.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The only reason I remember the Tyson code is because it starts with 007. So Amir says,
well, before we get on there, like the thing that was amazing about the Contra Code is that it worked in every Konami game. Like that's why we all know it, is because it didn't just work in Contra. Like as long as you memorized the code, if you're playing a Konami game, you were going to get something out of it.
Now let's set the record straight.
Mm-hmm.
The Contra Code is up, up, down, down, left, right, BA.
Mm-hmm.
I see people going up, up, down, left, right, BA, start, up, down, left, right, BA, select, start. No, the Contra Code is up, down, left, right, BA. That's it. Fuck all your selects and your starts. That's just to start the game, guys. Like the Konami code is up, down, left, right.
I feel like this is an odd hill to stake your claim on.
Nah, yo.
Because you still have to press start.
You still have to press start, but that ain't the code. That ain't the code. Let's find where is there a start button on this? There ain't no start button. So, semantics, I know. My son is just very mad about it.
Look, I'm always up for some antics. So
Amir says, since we are starting a new generation of consoles in roughly 4 weeks, what would you say is your favorite exclusive of the past gen or last 2 gens, if you can remember? It was probably a Sony exclusive.
no doubt.
While I do appreciate Gears of War as a franchise, Sony exclusives are.
I don't see how the answer is not Spider-Man for you.
Right. That's I was getting to it.
Yeah.
I like, and I was trying to show Xbox some love. Like, I feel like we just shit on Xbox all the time, right? Or Microsoft all the time, and I'm trying to show them a little bit of love. But it's Spider-Man, It's Spider-Man. It's superheroes. It's my favorite superhero, not my favorite comic character, but my favorite superhero in my favorite genre. And it's a masterpiece of open world gameplay to me. I will play that game 10 times out of 10 over any Grand Theft Auto ever. I love it.
It's got to be Uncharted 4 for me. A great way to tie up that series, like a culmination of the character arcs throughout that entire franchise. The best gameplay in the series, aside from maybe 2, but it had the 4 had the benefits of a couple of years and a couple iterations of refinement to go along with as well, plus the influence from Tomb Raider, like what they could steal back from Tomb Raider basically and incorporate into those games as well. But yeah, it would have to be Uncharted 4. I somehow I feel like that game does not get enough credit.
That franchise really surprised me. I remember when the first Uncharted came out, and I was down on it because I was like, what is this Dude Raider, right? Like I was down on it, and it took me a while to play it, and I played it, and I was like, wow, this is really good, and it's like an adventure movie, and it's really I really enjoyed it. Then Uncharted 2 came out, and I mean, it was over. Then Uncharted 3 came out, and I thought it was over. And then Uncharted 4 came out, and I was like, "Yo, this is amazing." So that whole and what's the spinoff?
Lost Legacy.
Yeah, Lost Legacy also, and very, very good. So I would have rather they just keep making Uncharted games instead of The Last of Us, but whatever. That's a very nice close second. But Nathan Drake can't thwip between buildings. So when he can do that, maybe he will take the top spot. And then E-Man says, no question, but thank you to Micah for the beautiful Google translation of the Filipino language. No problem. You are the only one that's getting it.
As we feel the need to reiterate every single show now. Well, very good. Thank you guys very much for the questions that you submitted to the Dense Pixels post office. Don't forget that you too can submit questions if you join our fan group on densepixels.com/fans on Facebook. Carrie's still collecting donations for Extra Life. She's about $110 away from her goal. She has posted the link to her campaign in the Dense Pixels fan group as well. If you could see fit to head on over there and throw her a couple bucks if you got it to spare, that would be super awesome. She'll be streaming for Extra Life in just a matter of weeks coming up here. Make sure you subscribe to this show as well as all the other TNT shows wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/densepixels. Ring the bell icon so you're notified whenever we post a new episode. And you can follow us all on Twitch, where we are streaming here and there, intermittently. I am Dense Pixels Brad. Terrence is Apparition 410. And Carrie is Suffix Carrie, where she has been doing well, holding to that Monster Hunter Mondays gimmick. So that is it for us this week. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening. We'll see you all next week.
See you.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.